So, did the lead attorney destroy Pearl? Coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Common Sense Logical Reason. As always, I want to say thank y'all for joining me today. So I want to talk about the lead attorney. Again, I'm a fan of his. I've watched many of his videos before. And I think he's probably one of the most prominent people in the black manosphere, if it still exists. But he, like most of the black red pillars, the people in the black manosphere, or you want to say, I agree with some of the things they say. I disagree with some of the things they say. But anyway, he basically, on one of his live videos, critiqued a conversation between Pearl Davis, or just Pearly Things, and Andrew Wilson. Now, he also started critiquing a video of Pearl being on a panel show with other blacks, I believe maybe the Lapeef show or whatever. And he basically had some things to say about what Pearl spoke on black people.
I'm fine talking about it, but it's just with your show, it's kind of a contentious topic. So I don't know if you want.
Okay, just tell us, what was the topic?
So the topic was if black women date criminals more than other races.
If black women date criminals more than other races.
Yeah, and I would say that's true.
Oh shit. Okay.
So and I'm not saying the white women don't do it too. We do, but it's just when I was interviewing and talking to people, that was just more prevalent with black women, and then they crashed out. I said it because, and the reason it came up was because I said that women date criminals, and then the girl got mad. She's like, Pearl, you're just the one dating criminals. And I'm like, no. And then at first I gave a different example. I gave a white example. I said Ted Bundy, like white women, we love serial killers. So we're like Ted Bundy, Luigi Mangione. And then she was like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, come on, you don't see these rappers out here that women are like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, and then they got mad at me for saying that, and then it was a crash out, and that was it.
Okay, and in terms of criminals, if we say that black women date more criminals than, I say, white women, are there more criminals? Are there more black people? Are there more black criminals in the United States, or are there more white criminals in the United States?
Well, I'd say most people date in their race, like most people.
Mm-hmm.
There are interracial, but most people do date in their race. And if 1 in 3 black guys have felonies, then that's just going to be more common.
Okay. Let me ask the question again. Are there more black criminals in the United States, or are there more white criminals in the United States?
I don't know. Because it depends if you do it like total or per capita.
Yeah, I'm asking total.
Total, probably white.
Okay, so and probably way more white criminals than black criminals, right?
Yes.
But you're saying that even though there are way more white criminals, that black women date more black criminals than white women date white criminals?
Yeah, because most people date in their race. And so it's like, what percent of, like a third of white men don't have a felony. So like if
but
I
there
was
are way more white criminals though, right?
Right, but I'm talking on like a percentage. So if you talk to like 10 black women versus 10 white women, like if you talk to 10 white women, they're not going to know as many criminals, just like on a balance of probabilities.
Even though there are millions more white male criminals?
But not per capita.
And I really don't know the 1 in 3. That's surprising to think that 1 in 3 black men have felonies. Where did that come from?
You can Google it.
All right, so I think we're kind of seeing a little bit of looseness or shoddiness in these arguments here. That's a very, and I'm not saying that it's wrong, but that's a very stark argument, a very stark statistic that 1 in 3 black men have felonies. So it would be good if you're going to put that out there to kind of know where we got it, right? And then it would be good to know the stats for white. It's kind of weird to know the stats for black men and not know the stats for white men. Is that a little weird? Do you know how many white men are felons?
Not off the top of my head. I know I've looked it up before.
Do we all see kind of what's going on?
Now, Pearl actually called in to the show and joined him on it. And they had a discussion about the topics that were discussed while she was on that panel with black people. Now, the first thing they discussed was this idea of the question of what race of women date more thugs. She said it was black women, and you know what? I agree 100%. I agree 100% that it's black women. First of all, it's the culture. Black culture promotes this. Now, I will say that women in general, like the bad boys, the Chad, the Tyrone, the Pookies, the Ray, they're just the nature of a female. No doubt about that. But the black community promotes the nonsense more than any other community, specifically hip hop. Hip hop culture promotes this, the hood, the bad boys, the thugs, the men rapping about being gangsters, thugs, these studio thugs, selling all these drugs and stuff. This has been a case in hip hop for a while. So it's nothing new. Also a case in black culture for a while. Okay, and then you have black people are more likely to live in housing projects at a higher rate. Way more so than other races of people. And this is where that culture is basically born from. That ghetto thug culture, hip hop culture today has been born out of housing projects and the mentality that was created from blacks living in housing projects. That's exactly where it came from. So if black people are living in housing projects at a higher rate and promoting that culture at a higher rate, well, it seems that black women would be the ones wanting to date hood thugs and all this stuff. And again, they say this. Again, what race of women talks about swag, a man needs to have swag more than black women? Nobody. Then it got to the topic of this 1 in 3 black men having felonies. He challenged Pearl on that point. Again, he didn't destroy her. He just challenged the point. Now, I would say to a certain extent is a conservative talking point. You get no argument for me. And what she said is something that she heard. The question is it true? Well, I would say this. How is this any different than what black folks do? I mean, the black people have nothing but left a talking point. These black leftists, all they are about is talking point. Hell, race rhetoric is just talking points. And my question to him is, would he ever challenge black people on regurgitating race rhetoric? If a black person ever cries redlining, would he ever challenge that? Probably not. But then you want to challenge Pearl on a stat. Once again, we can all look up and see if the stat is true. And I agree that Pearl was just repeating what she heard. But then that's all black folks do, is repeat what they heard. Very rarely do you see very much intelligent thought amongst black people. They just follow the leader. They were indoctrinated into being victims, and that's what they do. And then the last point I want to talk about is this idea of lead attorney focuses on, white men stats, and basically white criminals are typically more criminals, or are there more white criminals? And I would say, yes, that is true. I'm guessing there will be more white criminals, but because there are more total white people in the country. So basically, this is a per capita argument, because yes, there are more white people in America and more white criminals, but black folks just do it at a much higher rate than white people do. Now, this is the reason why black people try to shame the per capita argument, because they know the per capita argument, which matters, is going to destroy their narrative. Now, to get an understanding of why per capita matters, because per capita does matter, I use several analogies. One of them I use is the house square foot analogy. And let's say that you have two different families. You have a middle income family. They have a home that's 4,000 square foot. Again, a nice home, decent home. 4,000 square foot home. And then you have a rich family. They have a 20,000 square foot mansion, and they have like a 5,000 square foot guest house on the property. Now let's say that the middle income family, their home burns down, catch on fire, burns down completely, they lose everything. And the rich family, their guest house burns down, catches fire, burns down, they lose everything in there. Now, who's worse off in that scenario though? Well, when you look at the situation, the rich family, they lost more home. They lost 5,000 square foot of home. So they lost more total home than the middle income family. But the middle income family lost everything. They lost everything. Whereas the rich people, they even though they lost 5,000 square foot home, they still have a 20,000 square foot home to live in. So they essentially lost 1/5 of their total home. Whereas in the middle income family, they lost everything. So even though they lost less home than the rich family, but the rich family just had so much more home than them. So it hit the middle income family harder because they just had less home and they lost all of it. And this is why the per capita argument matters, because yes, white people do make up the majority of the criminals, the majority of most statistics in America, but it's done at a smaller rate. Whereas in black people, it's just such a higher rate and it has more impact upon the black community as a result of that. Again, this is why they don't want to focus on per capita. They always want to focus on white people's stats and all this other thing. But here's the question though. How is focusing on white folks' stats going to do anything for black people's stats? I always say, let white people deal with white folks' problems. We as black people, we need to deal with our problem. So again, the point that he made here, not to say that it was completely wrong, but it's almost like it's a moot point. So from what I heard here, I didn't hear any destroying of anybody. All he did was just simply challenge her on the 1 in 3 black men felon narrative. But regardless, if anybody believes that he destroyed Pearl Davis, please point me where you think he destroyed her, because I didn't see it, and he did. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on this. He was far from destroyed her. And as always, until next time.